Hello. Welcome back to the Madison channel. My name is Madison, and today we have something so special that I'm literally shaking. I'm so excited to share this with you guys. Let's get into it. So, right now I'm filming an introduction to my very first true crime interview. Now, this interview is going to be part one of a three-part interview, okay? We'll get into more of the details surrounding that, why it's going to be like that, all of that in this introduction, who I'm interviewing and all that kind of stuff. But this is my very first interview. I'd love some criticism, but nice, constructive criticism on my interview style and things like that, because I hope to do more of these things. But the way that this interview fell into my lap, honey, the power of social media, honey. But before we get into all of that, I just wanted to say, like the video, hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel if you are already subscribed, like the video, comment down below, everyone comment down below, talk about your thoughts, because today we are going to be interviewing, you are going to watch an interview, the part one interview of me just talking to the half-brother of the girl in the picture. Let's get into the story. I guess I'll start off with how this all came to be. If you don't follow me on TikTok, follow me. My link is in the description down below. I go live on TikTok. We are 60,000 strong on TikTok right now, which is super exciting. We're chugging along to 100K, so I'm super excited and proud of that. But on my TikTok, I do quick videos. You know how TikTok is casual. So I do documentary breakdowns. I do, little teasers for the new story that I'm going to be, true crime story I'll be discussing on my channel for that week. I do a bunch of different things that I do solely on TikTok because it is honestly been by far the most lucrative and amazing platform. I've connected with so many amazing people on TikTok. That being said, so I do these documentary breakdowns where I watch a documentary and break it down for people who, have anxiety about watching documentaries that are new, don't have the streaming service the documentary is on, all of that kind of thing. And, I try and get people to either watch the full thing, watch my breakdown, but they learn something nonetheless in the process. So basically on July 6th, earlier this month, a documentary dropped on Netflix called The Girl in the Picture. Okay, this is a true crime documentary and one of my favorite types of true crime documentaries. Just one where there's just chaos, twists and turns, lies, deceit, all that kind of thing. It's not a super cut and dry story. And I was intrigued when I saw the trailer come up on my Netflix page. That was like, how they do coming this week or stuff and stuff like that. Like waiting for this one to drop. It drops on July 6th. I immediately watch it on Netflix, and what I do for my documentary breakdowns, because I'm gonna watch a documentary anyway, so I might as well make content out of it, and so what I do is I take notes while I watch them, so then I can just immediately get on TikTok and say, this is what goes down in the doc. So I did that, watched it, and immediately went to TikTok and I started, churning out videos because this story had me so fired up. You need to watch it if you haven't watched it, but there's so many twists and turns, and it's truly one of the most disturbing stories I've ever really encountered. Talk about neglectful parents, talk about people not caring about this girl situation. Like, it just is deep, it's dark, it's ugly, and I was so fired up about the whole documentary that I just immediately went to TikTok and was posting back-to-back videos about breaking down this doc. I didn't realize this, but when I watched the doc, it was the very first day the documentary was out. And since I did it and immediately went to TikTok to make videos, I was one of the first people to be making videos on the doc. So my videos started to go up, like numbers, people were commenting, should I watch it? Should I watch it? Part one, part two, next part, like people were following along with me while I was breaking down this doc. So I kept breaking down the doc. But because I was one of the earlier people to, you know, discuss this, I got a comment. And for a minute, I kind of doubted it. You know how people can be online, they can catfish, they can be weird. But I got a comment from this woman named Alicia. And Alicia said, "The girl in the picture is a documentary about my husband's half sister." Okay. And I was like, oh shit, like that's pretty crazy, that's pretty crazy. And so I was like, okay, um, you know, I added her back. I was like, I just added you, and because she wanted to share more information about the situation with, the doc that the doc didn't cover and things like that. So I was like, cool. If I can talk to her for a few minutes, maybe get a few exclusives for my TikTok videos, that will up the ante for watching my breakdown, just because I have a line of communication with a legitimate family member of this girl. So we add each other, we're talking in the DMs for a little bit. Then she's like, it's too much to type, so we get on the phone. That night, we get on the phone. And so we start talking, and she's describing certain things. She's talking about, her husband's relationship with his family, how the mom raised him, who the mom is, what she did for a job, all of these details that were missing from the story. How the mom is a known liar, how the author told her husband that the mother is one of the most manipulative people he's ever met in his life. Crazy, just crazy. And so for me, I was like, this is crazy. So I continue making my videos breaking down the doc. A week or so goes by, and I am able to get on the phone again with Alicia, but this time we're on a three-way call with her husband, Jonathan Brandenburg, who is the half brother of the girl in the picture, Sharon, aka Tanya, aka Suzanne, right? So when we talk initially, right, we're talking when he still has 20 minutes of the documentary left. So he hasn't gotten to his mother's part, but you can tell he's very emotional. He was telling me on the phone that his mother basically lied to him and his siblings his whole life about what happened to his sister, how the doc refused to go into the fact that there's actually 4 children that were kidnapped by Franklin Floyd. And, the last one was his older brother. And there are actually 7 children that the mom had, by different baby fathers, and just how chaotic his life was. And, you start to understand and see, like, I understand making a documentary, but there are a lot of important details that were left out. And so naturally, I started getting more and more intrigued and things like that. So Jonathan finishes watching the doc and calls me immediately. He's very emotional. He's upset, he's angry, he's emotional because, as he put it, it's bittersweet. He was happy that he was able to see what his sister was like and hear what she was like. He was upset with his mother for everything. He feels like she was complicit in what happened to his half sister. He feels a lot of emotions on his mother. It calls into question, is he really his mother's child? He's the only biracial kid. There's a lot of question marks now surrounding his life. He's about to take a DNA test, blah, blah, blah. We'll get more into Jonathan in a little bit. But basically, we have another conversation. He expresses to me that he has always felt left out. His story about his family he has never been able to say his piece about his family, say his story, have it taken seriously. He's been left out of so many things. When they list her offspring online, he's left out of it. When the FBI came around asking questions when it came to the book and finding out who Suzanne really was, no one told him that the FBI was around. The FBI didn't even come to talk to him at all. So he has had this perpetual feeling his entire life, being the only biracial child, but also being left out of the family in a lot of ways, and not being able to be in control of his own narrative, always finding out after the fact. So he basically expressed an interest in telling his story. I told him, yo, my YouTube channel is not monetized. I have about 3,100 people strong and growing. I love you guys on my YouTube channel right now. And we are so close to being monetized, but I was like, I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't have a big platform, but I'm so willing, if you're willing to work with me, to do an interview with you. And he jumped at the opportunity. So that's how the interview came to be. I interviewed in the first part that you're going to watch now. This interview is only Alicia and this interview, actually, Alicia's not in this interview. It's only Bone, aka Jonathan Brandenburg, the half brother of Suzanne, Tanya, Sharon / the girl in the picture. And in the next part, his wife Alicia is going to be there to add her 2 cents about the family, being married into the family, what she thought about the family, what they talked about when it came to Suzanne. When I tell you, it's explosive. This is an exclusive interview. It's explosive and more to come, honestly. And if you guys like my interview style, again, constructive criticism only, please comment down below. The last thing that I'll say before we really get into this interview, and I won't keep you for too long, is the fact that Jonathan Brandenburg has fallen on some really hard times, and he's currently homeless. He's really struggling financially right now, and once you hear his story, you can see how the relationship with his family has really affected his ability to grow in his adult life. A lot of things have happened to him, a lot of betrayal on the part of his family. He lives in the same town as his mother and 2 sisters, and they refuse to take him in. He says it himself, he's not a saint, but he really, really is in need of help right now. Basically, he's living in a burnt down trailer that used to be owned by his sister Allison, one of the sisters that was kidnapped by Franklin Floyd, and he needs money to get on his feet. Now, I told him I don't have a lot of money to give, but what I will do is I will create some sort of mutual aid to help you out through this video. So in the comments, in the pinned comments, there is his, I believe it's his Venmo, if I'm not mistaken. And if you enjoyed, if you want more, if you want to hear more from him, if you enjoyed his perspective, if you consume this media at all, send him something. Send him $1, send him $5, send him $10 if you can spare, but send him something, because I'm not in the business of exploitation. I want to make that clear. This isn't a clout thing for me. This isn't a money make grab for me. I am not in the business of exploitation. Jonathan Brandenburg, his wife came to me just so we could connect and just so I could have exclusive information to better my videos on TikTok, okay? And he needs our help. He just, frankly, he needs our help. And I'm not in the business of exploiting people for their stories and not paying it forward or paying it back, because to be honest, though he feels comfortable with me and he is freeing himself from the shackles of all of this emotion he has built up for years by doing this interview with me, he is doing me a huge favor. He's doing me a huge favor. He's doing you a huge favor by giving you context to this documentary that has just taken off fully on Netflix. His family doesn't care for him at all, even though he's their blood. He is struggling now, and I think it's important that we make a point to create mutual aid and support financially around people and around situations that need it the most. He is one of those people, especially because you are getting some sort of entertainment from his story, his trauma, his life. So that being said, pinned comment in the description as well are his socials. His TikTok, Alicia's TikTok, will also be in the description box, but the pinned comment will be his Venmo, and I really, really strongly encourage y'all to donate something, because I'm not in the business of exploitation. I think it's only right, and if you're getting entertainment from his story, the very story that has affected him to have this situation where he's not on his feet right now, I think it's important that you pay it forward and give him direct money for his story. Period. I've committed to, when I do get monetized, and depending on how well these videos do, I'm going to send him a little something based on, as long as these videos are on my channel, I'm going to send him money directly because of how these, because of the fact that he's doing me a favor by using my channel exclusively to tell his story. I hope we can all not only send him financial support, emotional support, add him on social media, and push for his story to be told. I think he deserves that his story get told, especially with being ignored by his family for so long. So there's that. I think the very, very last thing that I'm going to talk about is the fact that I truly, truly, truly believe him. I have pictures or things that I've seen behind the scenes that prove to me that he is his mother's child. He is the half brother of Suzanne slash Tanya slash Sharon slash the girl in the picture. So comments like, how do you know? And why do we have to give him money? You'll be blocked immediately. I'm just keeping it a buck. I understand the concern. I understand the world is a crazy place. The internet is a crazy place. And people like to pretend that they are who they are not, and catfish all the time. But I think it's really important that, trust me, I'm not just platforming people to platform people. I've seen things on my end that definitely 1,000% confirm to me that he is who he says he is. He has no reason to lie. He didn't know that we were going to do an interview on my channel. He didn't know that I was planning on giving him the money from these videos to him. He didn't know. He just is coming because he wants his story out there purely, and all of that stuff happened after the fact. So there are pictures that I'm going to be putting in, peppering in. And he's going to be sending me other pictures as well. But yeah, so we're just keeping it a buck here. I think that's it. And without further ado, here is my part one of a 3-part interview with Jonathan Brandenburg and Alicia, who is his wife. Part 2, Alicia will appear, but this is just me and Jonathan setting context for what we're going to get into in the next part, how he found out who his sister was, what he was able to get out of his mother as a child. All of that conversation will all be exposed in these next 3 parts for the next 3 weeks. And yeah, so without further ado, let's get into it. Before we get into the interview, I just want to quickly shout out my sister and this absolutely gorgeous dream journal. It is a 12-week guided dream journal that has amazing prompts. It is absolutely super comprehensive to use and super high quality. Highly, highly recommend it. If you're interested in this, hit my Amazon storefront link in the bio so you can purchase it and try it out. Hope you love it. Here we go. Okay. So hello, everybody. Welcome to my channel. And today we have a very, very special video. We are going to be doing the very first interview I've ever done, and it's going to be explosive. I think personally, I was lucky enough to be able to connect with Jonathan Brandenburg, who is the half brother of Susan slash Sharon slash Tanya slash the girl in the picture, which the Netflix documentary is about. And I am so happy that I'm able to talk to him, ask him, pick his brain about his life experience, and get to know the other side that wasn't disclosed in the documentary, because there were a lot of holes. There was a lot of stories going on. And so I'm really excited to be able to platform him and allow him to tell his story. So without further ado, we're going to get straight into the questions. And this is Jonathan. Hello, Jonathan. Thank you for coming to my channel.
Hello, Madison, and hello, everyone.
Hello. So I guess my very first question is, did you know this documentary was being made? And did you know your mom was participating in this?
I found out probably a year ago that
Okay.
the documentary was being made. I
Okay.
found out 5 years ago about everything.
Okay. We're going to get into that. We're going to get into how you found out. So you knew that this documentary was going to happen about a year ago. And you knew that your mom was going to be a part of it. Are
Yes.
you okay? Okay. And did she tell you herself, or did you hear from other family members?
She told me, and my other family members told me.
Okay. 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 So I guess I just want to interject here and just say that I watched the documentary. You obviously watched a documentary, but I watched it without the intention of ever being able to meet anyone that this story touched. And I'm so pleased that I was able to connect with you. I can't lie, because I love documentaries. I love true crime documentaries. And I was purely watching it from being interested in the story. And then I posted about it because the story was so crazy on TikTok. And then Alicia, who isn't here right now, hopefully will come at a different time, or be interviewed at a different time, whatever she wants to do. But she commented on the video and was like, that's my husband's like family. And so I was like, a lot of people have been like commenting and stuff and saying like, how do you know these people are genuine? And it's like, I felt that from that message. I felt that it was genuine from that message. And we talked on the phone right away. I know she was trying to call you and three-way you into the phone call, but it wasn't until later that we connected. But I had no intention of doing an interview until you said yourself, when we were finally able to connect over the
Right.
phone, that you wanted to tell your story. And, I was like, who am I to like not let this man tell his story? Because this story
Right.
already is crazy. And I feel like once we go through everything, I think people will understand more how you feel in terms of being kind of ignored and not included in being able to say your piece about your family.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? We're going to interview you. And I'm so happy that you're here. So I just want to say that.
Okay.
This was not intentional. This was not a clout thing. This was just social media working in a crazy way. And I'm so happy that you're here. So,
Yeah.
what was growing up like for you? Did you move around a lot? Did you have a loving home? And, how was your mom and all sorts of things like that?
Moving up was rough. We moved a lot.
Okay.
I lived mostly in the city of Hampton, Virginia.
Okay.
And let's see, elementary school, I went to 2 different elementary schools,
Okay.
uh, 2 different middle schools,
Okay.
and 3 different high schools.
Oh my gosh.
That much moving.
Yeah.
Growing up, it was a bit difficult being the only dark skin, I'll say, in the
Right.
family.
Right.
I got looked at different.
Okay.
I believe in my heart of hearts, I was treated different.
I'm sure you.
Um,
Mhm.
it wasn't shown too much by Amy and Allison, because we'll get into why they left
Okay.
at an early age.
Right.
Me and my brother are almost 2 years apart.
Okay.
So we were kind of close. He was
Okay.
like my little shadow. And then
Right.
my youngest sister, she's the only kid that my mom and the guy that raised me had together. So she was a spoiled little brat.
Right. Okay. Okay. And so I just want to ask you if you can explain for the people, because a lot of people on TikTok, for some reason, were so confused about how you factored into being
Okay.
related to the girl in the picture. So if you could explain not only how you're related to Tanya, Sharon, Suzanne, but also your other siblings really quickly for
Okay.
people.
Okay. My mother is, of course, Sandy Chipman, Sandy Willett.
Okay.
She ended up having a total of 7 kids.
Okay.
Suzanne was first.
Okay.
After Suzanne was Allison,
Okay.
who I did grow up with for
Okay.
some time. Then Amy.
Okay.
I also grew up with her. And then Philip, aka Stevie, who I
Right.
never met.
Okay.
And then after Stevie comes myself,
Right.
and then my younger brother, Jeffrey Donnell,
Okay.
and my younger sister, Dorothy Morgan.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for clearing that up, because people were so confused in the comments. And I'm like, child, I've tried to explain, but they were not getting it. So I'm glad you were able to clear that up. So growing up as the only biracial child of Sandy, explain some examples of why you felt like you were treated differently in the household.
First and foremost, my mom has one picture of me in her house.
Wow.
One. And that is my graduation picture.
Wow.
I never got to go to graduation. I graduated, but never got to go.
Okay.
There's more pictures of my other siblings.
Okay.
I've never seen a baby picture of myself.
Wow.
Never.
Wow. Okay. We're gonna get into that. Yeah. Yeah. Did your
Like I said,
siblings treat you differently at all, or was it just your
my
mom?
young my youngest sister did probably the most.
Okay.
Like I said, Amy and Allison left at an early age.
Okay.
And I mean, my brother would make, little snide remarks. I only got, I guess, derogatory statements from them
Mm-hmm.
probably a handful of times in my life.
Okay. Okay. But you internalize that as a kid. You know what I mean? When you notice those things, like the fact that there weren't pictures of you in the house, the fact that you couldn't see baby pictures, it's like, as a child, like it's different for you. And do you think it's because you're the only biracial, or do you think it's just because maybe, or the relationship with your mom and your father or something like that? Or do you think it's because of the color of your skin?
Color of my skin, by
Okay.
far.
Okay. Okay. That is hard. That is hard. So did you have, even if you were moving around a lot, did you have like a loving home for the most part, or were there moments that it was loving and moments that it was dysfunctional, or was it just always dysfunctional?
It was always dysfunctional.
Okay.
Always. It wasn't a terrible home. My father, the man who raised me, not my biological father,
Right.
the man who raised me, he was the glue.
Okay.
That is one person that I can say to the depths of my soul that never was indifferent to me.
Okay.
He never saw me as skin color. There were times when he would pull into a gas station, go in to get something to eat or drink, and the next thing you know, he's calling me into the store.
Mm-hmm.
Me being the only black biracial child in the family, he'd be like, "Who am I to you?" I'd be like, "You my pops," and
Right.
everybody like, "Oh, that's nice, that's nice." So there
Right.
was never no indifference between us two, but he was the glue.
Okay.
Mom worked a little bit.
Okay.
I know she loved him, but as you know, my mom is a master manipulator.
Yes.
Master.
We're gonna
She
get into that.
throws what we call guilt trips
Okay.
for us to do what she wants to get done.
Right. Right.
And we've all fell into it.
Right. Of course.
But as we've gotten older, we're like, yeah, I'm not doing that anymore.
Right.
Times of my life that I remember is the trailer park that we lived in down by the beach.
Okay.
That's the main part of my life that I remember, and that was from the 8th grade until I graduated.
Okay. Okay.
My childhood before the 8th grade, man, I don't remember it. I don't.
Wow.
I don't.
Not at all. Not even any single memory of being a kid. Just
Bits and pieces. Bits and pieces. I remember going to my stepbrother's birthday party and getting ran over by a bicycle.
Oh my gosh.
For some reason, from the time that I was born until late middle school, I don't know much about my life.
Wow.
I don't remember much about my life.
Wow. And how does that make you feel? Do you think there's this trauma and maybe your mind is protecting you from the trauma? Or do you think, what do you think about that? Does it make you upset that you don't know that part of your life, or have been able to remember your childhood much in any way?
That I know of.
Okay.
Had any trauma that I know of that could have affected me like that. I think it incompletes me.
Okay. Right.
I was lost, I guess, for a long time trying to figure out who I was. And,
Absolutely.
I was told it doesn't matter who you are. You're my son.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Left that hole.
Right.
And to this day, I still can't get answers to fill in them holes to make me complete.
Wow. Wow. That's really deep. That's really, really deep. Um, I guess the next question is, um, when it comes to your mom and working, I know we've talked about this on the phone, but what do you know of her work that she would do as a job, and how does that relate to, your siblings and their fathers and things of that nature?
Um, like I said, mine, Amy, Allison, and Jeff,
Mm-hmm.
we didn't have our biological fathers.
Okay.
Dodie, which that's Dorothy, we call her Dodie for short.
Right.
Uh, her dad raised all of us, so he was always in the picture.
Okay. Okay.
Um, and so it wasn't. We had somebody there
Right.
that loved us unconditionally. That man right there, I put him on a pedestal. I'm gonna keep him on a pedestal, and there's nothing that could change that.
Right.
Nothing.
He's a good man. He's a good man.
Yes, that is somebody that I do not mind and will not hesitate to call my father and my dad.
That's beautiful.
And
That's
he's a little short. He was a little short white man.
uh, so with your mother, so none of the biological fathers of Allison, Amy, and the rest of you were in the lives. It was just Dodie.
Yep, just
Okay.
Dodie's dad.
So what did your mom do for work, and how do you think you come in? Because obviously you're not white all the way or whatever.
Right.
So
Um,
yeah.
she worked. I know she worked in like a rubber plant. I want to say it was. I'm not 100% sure what type of plant it was.
Okay.
Um, and I know she worked in a lawyer's office. Those are
Okay.
the two main jobs that I know my mom did growing up. Now, after I would say probably 11th,
Okay.
10th, 11th grade, she started doing taxes. Oh, I take that back. She did work for H&R Block for a little bit too.
Okay.
And now to this day, that is her, I guess, side hustle. Tax season comes around, that's when she makes her extra money.
Right. Okay. 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 Definitely. Definitely. So how do you think, I guess we're gonna start getting into your half sister who the documentary is about.
Okay.
I think my first question is, what did your mother tell you about Suzanne?
What all of us, from
Mhm.
my knowledge, was told at the time was Suzanne and Philip, aka Stevie,
Right.
were kidnapped by their dad.
Okay. Okay. And they were just kidnapped by her dad and she never saw them again. Did she
Yep.
ever detail anything about her looking for them? It was just
Nope.
that.
Nope. Later on down the line, she did tell us that she tried to look for her once.
Okay. See, and
But
that's
I think that one time though was
uh-huh.
what was in the documentary. Because
Okay.
to my knowledge, as a kid and even now as an adult, I cannot recall my mother ever making a phone call, going to an agency or anything like that to look for my sister.
Wow. Wow. So you were told that Suzanne and Stevie, the child born right before you, Stevie slash Philip, were kidnapped by their dad. In reality, do they have the same father or do they not have the same father?
I don't think they have the same father. See,
Okay.
myself, Amy, Allison, and I want to say Stevie. I'm not 100% sure because I've never heard this.
Right.
But I know for a fact, me, Allison, and Amy all have the same last name.
Okay.
Now, Amy, after everything came out, did her own research. Come to find out, she found out who her biological father was.
It
He
was
no,
it was
it wasn't.
okay.
Nope, his name was Dennis Brandenburg.
Okay.
Um, she finished doing her research, uh, has two other sisters
Okay.
from Dennis, not my mom, just from
Right.
Dennis, also half sisters.
Right.
And then she also took a DNA test to see if she and Stevie were related.
Okay.
To my understanding from Amy, they don't have the same dad, but the
Okay.
same mom.
Okay. 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 That's interesting. That's very interesting. So you all were, did she say that there was a child that, did she volunteer the information about Suzanne, I guess, or did you hear it from somewhere else and ask her and then she told you that story about them being kidnapped?
Um, I mainly heard it from my older sister, Alice. Allison was always because Allison, Amy, and Suzanne, they were all together.
Right.
They were around the same age,
Right.
a
Right.
couple years apart. So Allison adamantly to this day remembers Suzanne.
Right.
Allison has tried to convince my mom to look for her, ask questions to my mom about her. Allison was the main one that was
Remember.
adamant about getting answers.
Okay. So did she try and search on her own?
That I'm not 100% sure of.
Okay. 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 So Allison is the one that remembered Suzanne the most because she was probably the closest in age to Suzanne.
Yes, yes.
And then did Amy ever bring her up at all, or?
Amy has, to my knowledge, Amy has never brought up Suzanne until everything started.
Okay. So back
Lord.
to what I was saying. So Amy never mentioned Suzanne.
No, not until everything started to come out.
Okay, not until everything started to come out. Okay. So okay, hold on. Oh, we have 10 minutes left and then we'll have the next Zoom, okay?
Okay.
So in your family, was what happened to Suzanne like a secret? Like, could you guys ask her openly or did you guys talk about it? Did Allison press your mom a lot about it? Or was it something that your mom tried to like keep on the hush hush?
Allison pressed her a lot.
Okay.
I asked questions.
Okay.
I don't think Amy asked any questions really.
Okay.
I'm not sure about Jeff either. Doty's asked a couple.
Okay.
But Allison was more adamant about it than anybody. And every time we would ask, she'd always shut down as
Okay.
far as, well, I don't want to talk about it
Okay.
or leave it alone.
Okay.
Something simple like that.
Okay. And did anyone else in like on your mom's side of the family, did they ever like speak about Suzanne at all? Or was it just you kids pressing her?
It was never brought up. Suzanne,
Wow.
after she, excuse me, after she told us that Suzanne was kidnapped, and we would ask questions and she would leave it alone, we'd leave it alone and it would never be brought up.
Wow. That is
Like, I'm 45.
okay.
Until the last 5 years,
Right.
um, man, Suzanne maybe had been brought up, man, 5 times is pushing it.
Wow.
Is pushing it.
And that's something a lot of people on TikTok want to know, because if you don't know, I made a video and opened it up for people to tell me the questions they wanted me to ask you.
Okay.
And
Right.
a lot of what people were asking was, did you know about her? Did your mom talk about her? Did your mom look for her? Was she ever brought up? And it's so crazy that, knowing what happened in the documentary to Suzanne and what her life was like and what ended up happening to her and how that was opened up through your mother by inviting this man into her life, right? And
Yep.
that whole thing happened. The crazy part was, I think people really latched onto on the documentary. A lot of people noticed that your mother didn't really seem to have a lot of examples of her beating the block down trying to find her kid. And so
No, she didn't.
that's the thing that people latched onto. That's something that I honestly latched onto, because for me, I was just kind of like, I don't have kids. If I did have kids, I already know if something happened where they were kidnapped or something like that, I would go over the whole universe to try and figure
Yeah.
out what the fuck happened, where my child is, and what's happening with my child. And so for the fact that your mom didn't beat down the block and didn't even keep her memory alive in your children, in you guys' lives, in your mind, I can only imagine how that made Allison feel, Amy feel, all of you guys feel about who Suzanne was, and even just what your mom, would your mom care if you guys left? Would your mom care if you guys, got kidnapped? Or you know what I mean? It just like,
Yeah.
it's traumatic and it's crazy. And I wonder, do you have a good relationship with Allison at this point in time, or have you ever?
Um, at this point in time, Allison has cut herself off from everybody.
Okay.
She lives out west in Oregon.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, so she's cut herself off from everybody. She's like, I can, every now and again, I can hit her up on Facebook and say, "Hey sis, how's it going? I wish her a happy birthday on her birthday."
Right.
Um, but her and my mom, hell no, it's a wrap.
Oh,
It's a
wow.
wrap. It's a
And
wrap.
and when did that end? Was it when everything came out 5 years ago, or was it okay?
It
Okay.
it it, it had been boiling up for years because Allison, when she was young, they shipped her up. She wasn't terrible,
Okay.
but Allison was a wild child,
Okay.
and they sent her off to a girls' home.
Okay.
Allison was gone, hmm, 13, 14 years old. Amy was gone, living with her boyfriend, now husband, uh, at 14.
Wow.
Like,
Wow.
my mom let them motherfuckers move out.
That's crazy. And that's crazy because it's also like, not only when you find out what happened to your oldest sister, may she rest in peace, obviously. And
Yeah,
then
that
it's
hurts
like,
my heart that I never got to meet her.
it's emotional, and a lot of people feel really connected to her story. That's a lot of what I was getting in the comment section, was just people were crying all night, crying while they were watching it, because not only is her story so crazy and so sad, but it's also the fact that her mother didn't look for her at all. She never found out who she truly was for real, which is the saddest part, in her family. And so it's like, to have that already, that's heavy. But then to let your kids move out, send your kids off at this age when they're young, it's like, I can only imagine how Allison and Amy feel. But honestly, it must be hard, specifically for Allison, to really even look your mom in the eye and have a
I
real
don't think that'll
conversation.
ever. I don't think that'll ever happen again.
Do you think she
When
watched a documentary?
I'm pretty sure she has.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she has. I don't even, man. I don't know if Allison, if my mom were to pass away here anytime, I
Wow.
don't think Allison would come back for a funeral. I don't.
Wow.
Allison, because of the way that she's been shunned
Mhm.
and the way that she's not getting answers that she knows
Uh,
stuff about,
right. Right.
she's done like cut the umbilical cord from my mother. Like,
Right.
I don't want nothing to do with you.
Well, I
And
guess now,
I don't blame her. I don't.
yeah. Yeah, how could it's one of those things where it's like, you look at the full picture and it's like, I get it, because that's a lot, that's heavy, and it's been a lot to carry, I'm sure. So what about you in your relationship with your mother at this point in time, having watched a documentary, knowing everything that happened, everything that got opened up 5 years ago?
Well, when I first found out everything that happened 5 years ago, uh, it ticked me off. I mean,
Wow.
to the point I didn't talk to her for almost a year.
Wow.
Like, I didn't wish her happy birthday,
Wow.
happy Mother's Day,
Okay.
no phone calls. I didn't allow my kids to talk to her. I cut
Wow.
her off.
Wow.
Um, now I don't even know how to describe the relationship with her now.
Okay.
Now, I will say this. It's the only mother I've ever known,
Right.
the
Absolutely.
person that raised me. So I have
Right.
some love for her. I
Right.
have to.
Absolutely.
But man, our relationship now, I talk to her maybe man, twice a month.
Okay.
Um, you know, my situation as far as my living situation and so
Right.
forth. I
Right.
have my mother here and
Uh-huh.
two of my sisters here,
Uh-huh.
and I get no help from nobody.
Wow. They won't even let you
I
stay
I sleep.
over?
Look, I put it out. I'll put it out there. I sleep outside.
Wow.
Um, and I can't go to Dodie's house.
Right.
I've been there a couple times because she's helped me out, like to go to my daughter's graduation in West Virginia and stuff like that.
Right.
Um, Amy, she has my son. I can go over there to see my son, but I can't stay. And
Wow.
then my mom has Dodie's oldest, second oldest daughter,
Okay.
and her boyfriend living in a one-bedroom apartment.
Okay.
I can't go there. My mom said, "Oh, well, if you were to come here, you'd have to sleep on the floor, and
Right.
then you'd have to move every time I have to use the bathroom."
Oh,
My thing is, why do y'all wait until I'm really, really struggling and reaching out to y'all for help
right.
instead of checking on me, asking me if I need help? Now,
You know,
I'm not no saint.
r-
I've done my wrongs. I've admitted to my wrongs.
okay.
But I think as family, you're
Right.
supposed to be my blood. If
Absolutely.
you know for a fact that I'm sleeping outside,
You need to do something.
bingo.
Absolutely. So
Heart in my soul that my mom knows everything that happened, probably was a part of it.
okay.
But to lie to everybody else,
Right.
but to your kids who
Right.
ask questions, lying to them, that's not right. That's
It's
one
not
thing I don't do. I had 3 children. I do not lie to none of them.
right. Right. It's so important to be honest. It's
You
so
have
important to
to.
be honest. And so now that you touched on it, Bone, what I want to ask you is, and Alicia, I'm gonna ask you the same question. Do you believe Sandy was involved in what happened to Suzanne, Allie and Allison, Philip slash Stevie? And I guess that's the end of part one. So all I have to say is follow me, subscribe, follow me on TikTok, hit that notification bell here, comment, like, subscribe, make this video do well in the algorithm. If not for me, for our beautiful, wonderful friend Jonathan, who does need our help. Share this video, talk about this video, do whatever you need to do to get this video to run some numbers up. I highly, highly appreciate it. But I guess without further ado, Black Lives Matter and Free Palestine until it's backwards.